Oh, the damn thing's lying to me. We'll give it a second here.
Yeah, because mine did not.
Yeah, it takes a few minutes to get going here. If it is going, welcome to the bottom line. I'm Michael Noland. If this is the first time you've ever seen me for any strange reason, uh, the channel's name is the bottom line, but when I stream, we call it what? The Tribal Forum. And part of that is due to the fact I'm making sure here I'm seeing everything is starting to catch up with us, darling. Okay, there I am. And of course, the volume went even though I turned it down. You know, just remember, this is where you come to get professional entertainment, folks. All right, we've got him. I have two monitoring devices, and one of the monitoring devices has its sound or had its sound turned up. Anyway, so the reason we call this the Tribal Forum is, first of all, basically the channel's mantra is we are the tribe, right? And we are a group of folks who believe or agree primarily on one thing and one thing only. Other than that, we come from all walks of life. We have different viewpoints on religion. We have different viewpoints as to whether there should be religion, political differences, and all of that. But the one thing we all have in common is we have a love for classic rock, right? And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. One of classic rock's greatest bands, and what I consider one of their greatest releases. And of course, I'm talking about their latest release, and we're talking about Pink Floyd here, folks, and their wonderful new album. Uh, Pink Floyd at Pompeii. Now that's interesting. All right. When that movie first came out, it was just called Pink Floyd Live. I remember going to see it. Then they changed it. It was Floyd Live at Pompeii. And now a third title change. It's just now called Pink Floyd at Pompeii. Wonderful cover to this and poster for the movie and everything else. And that's what we're going to talk about. But before we get in there, I always do a few shout outs and take care of some channel business to give folks, a chance to get on in. When I first signed up, there were 11 of you. We're up to 20. So just give me a few seconds here to do these shout outs. And we're going to take it from where I was talking about because tonight's discussion is going to be very interesting. I can guarantee you that. First of all, I have to absolutely give a big shout out to Oberheim, Brendan from Down Under. He gave us before the show even started. I was just getting ready to come on up, and I noticed he gave us a super thanks for $5. Thank you so much, Oberheim. And he says, we'll be enjoying while at home. And by the way, Doc Insomnia, if you're not out there, we understand. He had to work. He said he might miss it, but in the replay, because I know he does catch up, just wanted to say we missed you, but I was glad you were in early. All right. Good for you, man. Now, in my last stream, we also got some super thanks, and I would not be a proper host if I did not say thanks back to them. So I wanted to give them a quick shout out. Once again, first one up to bat on our last stream was Oberheim again. And we had Bill Hawkins come in, Just the Facts Man, Storm Cop with a very generous super thanks. Thank you, James. Deuces Wild and Michael Boswell, White Monkey came in with two super thanks. And finally, at the last minute, it was like, dun, da, da, came John Foster. All right. And I just wanted to give you all a big thank you for supporting the channel financially. All right. So let's see. Anything else? Oh, yeah. One more bit of channel business. For all of you new members, and it was Ben, I believe, Ben Scheidecker, who bought 10 memberships, and 10 of you actually, and more. Actually, join the channel for free. If you took advantage of that membership and you haven't seen my latest video on the members only video, you should go on over there. All right, it's good. I've got a short out that covers about a 3 minute segment of that half-hour long video. But other than that, that's for new members. And so be sure to get on over there and watch that. I've gotten some pretty good response from that from our members. Quite a few of you have seen it already. Let's see what else. I just wanted to mention thank you so much for participating in my last poll. Over 8,000, it might be close to 9,000 by now, of you responded with not overnight 8,000 votes. During my last stream, we were up to 5,000. So another 3,000 plus of you got in there. And guess what? If you had gotten in earlier, but I had even said, I had problems. I had to sandwich those parts pretty close together. And usually you want your polls to come out. Well, the best way is, like once every 16 hours is about the best you should push it, 12 at the earliest. But I was putting them out like it would be out and I'd have another one out in an hour and a half. But I had to do that because we were live streaming. But guess what changed? Instead of Kansas taking the spot they took for as long as they took it, right? And we're talking about bands that you chose or still touring that are the most guilty of not being who they're purporting to be, right? That was the whole thing of the whole last stream. Well, guess who would have beat them? Humble Pie. All right. So even you can change the flavor. You can't change the finals, but you can change the flavor within the body of those polls when you participate, even participating late. And when I see something like that, I'll be sure to bring it up on screen. Okay, the next bit of business that I'm reticent to even be bringing up, we've got a fly in the ointment, folks. We've got a fungi that likes to hang around who's probably watching right this moment. And I'm talking about a troll who is showing up not only on Royce's, but on other streams. And they've taken my icon. They've made themselves look just like me when I type in, all right, my own personal intellectual property, right? And they're making a lot of negative comments. All right, even getting to the point of even arguing with Royce online, making it sound like I was telling him to go to hell or something like that. So, if the fool is stupid enough to make a comment here tonight, I want you guys to flag it. Kimberly, you're going to be watching for that, right?
Yes, and we're watching in the comments.
All right. And just time him out. Look for the timeout, Kimberly, if you don't time him out first, and then notify me immediately. Because then I'm going to report him and I'm going to ban him, and we'll take him from there. All right? Yes. I hate to even have to bring this kind of stuff up. I'm proud of the fact that I've built a channel that has such a great response from people from all walks of life and beliefs, and that we can have fun. And the only disagreements we have are, well, Led Zeppelin's not as good as the Beatles, or, Pink Floyd ain't one of the top 10 bands in the world. Michael, you're an idiot, right? And I think they're the third best band in the world. But that's where we argue. And when this kind of crap happens, nothing pisses me off more. All right? And I do know that he's showing up on Paul's stream, Psycho's Platters. Paul, if you're out there, anytime that you would like to get a hold of me to put an end to that nonsense, because now I can't visit your stream and make any kind of comment. because we've got an imposter in the mix. And so you can get a hold of me through Messenger like you usually do. All right, buddy? And we'll take it from there. Or continue to have him on there. And then, unfortunately, then I can't participate in your wonderful channel, right? We're going to be doing this. I almost was at a point of doing another action. But what we're going to do is we're going to, on Royce's, we're going to be looking for him. And Royce is going to put an end to him, too. You think I'm pissed at this guy? Royce is just as pissed. I have received emails from you, Angela. Thank you very much. I have received messages from you. I have received comments from you, both on my live streams and on my regular videos, that you are seeing this nefarious characterization of me out there, and you recognize that that's not me. Of course, it's not. Right? You want to know what I'm all about? Come on over here. Here I am. This is me. That fool is a Okay, we're going to stop right there. Anyway, so be on the lookout for that. I've got a ton of moderators out there, and it's hard for me to monitor for the idiot and actually, present to you what I've got ready for you. All right, enough of that nonsense. Let's just get on into Pink Floyd. Now, this has been a big year for Pink Floyd, folks, as far as I'm concerned. Not only did we get a remastering and a 4K, IMAXed out version of what used to be called the film Pink Floyd Live. And then it was called, as I said, Pink Floyd Live at Pompei, and now it's just Pink Floyd at Pompei. All right, the film and the album, but we'll get to the album in a second. And everybody that has watched that in IMAX, I haven't seen it in IMAX, but I have seen it. Okay? It is one that we have purchased, and it's out there. And by the way, it won't cost you an arm and a leg if you want to see the film and you have access. I can't speak for other platforms, but if you're with Apple services, the film, if you want to buy it, you can rent it for $5 or whatever. But if you want to buy it, it's $15. Very reasonable when you consider how much your latest blockbuster going for 30. So it's half off of what the latest big movies are going for on Apple. Yeah, they've increased their prices that much, right? But so you can see it that way. I noticed I wanted to take a look at who it was that was saying this. Which one? Good to see you here. Okay. Where was that? Okay. Downloading. Okay. So, yeah, it was Christian. Sorry for the blurb there, folks. But Christian, I was watching you guys, you early birds, I monitor, but I'm putting on my shirt, right? Getting, my skivvies pulled up and all of that. And him and Brandon were having kind of an exchange there because I believe it was Brandon who, yeah, he just, matter of fact, he said purchased an LP this week. Can only spare $5, and thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that. And as much as LPs go for, I hear you, brother. I hear you. But then Christian, Divining Dragon, brought up, he goes, Oberheim, I hear that. I'm reduced to downloading tracks from iTunes. Can't afford to build a vinyl collection, and no place to put it if I did. And so, that I wanted to bring that up because with this release, I've already ordered it on vinyl, and we're going to get into that. All right, because Uncle Mikey ain't happy, folks. But I've got it ordered. Should be here, right? I should be able to show anyway. All right. So, but you can enjoy this album. You don't need to go out and get it, the vinyl or even the CD version of it. If you've downsized in your life, or you're just a minimalist in general, that kind of person. I have the space, but I don't have the inclination, right? Um, that's fine. I'm as big a proponent of streaming services as I am a vinyl enthusiast. And as many of you know, I've just recently got into vinyl again. I was into vinyl back in the day. Who wasn't, right? Had a good collection, a big collection, and let go of it when CDs came out. When CDs, then when streaming services and tight times happened, I sold that CD collection, over 1,200 of them. Uh, uh, because I was already kind of going over to digital anyway by that time. So I'm a big proponent of that. If that's the way that you have nothing to apologize, nothing to explain, as far as I'm concerned, as a matter of fact, because I have not received my new Pink Floyd uh, at Pompeii album, I've been forced to listen to it through Apple iTunes, lossless. It's great. It's great. I've been listening to it all day, listened to it all day yesterday, listened to it the day, I think the day before too, just running. And because I've always heard that music. Now, it's come out that there's always been bootleg versions of this album, and I was never aware of that. So I never had the music of this film on an album ever in my life. I have never heard it as an album. Okay. I know, shame on me. Why didn't I know about the bootlegs, but anyway, I have seen the movie probably more times than, I don't know, Job had kids. I lived in the theater for two movies when I was a teenager, two rock movies. One was Let It Be by the Beatles, and the other was Pink Floyd Live. And it was at the California Theater, Santa Rosa, California, and I went in there and I'd watch it, and then I'd watch it again on its second and third and fourth showing, go home, get back and do the same thing. I was absolutely engrossed with it, and I just absolutely loved the film. Now, the film I saw was the US first release, not the original release for you folks over in the UK, which that one was released. That one was just under an hour in length and only contained footage of, from what I understand, I've never seen it, of Pink Floyd at Pompeii or there in the Roman amphitheater, or those that group of um, um, performances. Okay, and there's a reason for that because when the director, Madrian, I'm not going to remember his name right off the bat, but when he saw that and he felt like he wanted to add more to it, he had visited Pink Floyd, he knew they were in the studio, he was looking for anything he could add to it, and he came up with the idea: let's film you in the studio working on your latest thing. And the latest thing that they're working on, of course, is Dark Side of the Moon. I just saw the section where the film blends in, and all of a sudden you hear us and them playing in the background as, is it Roger Waters adding a piece to it as they're recording it. So historically, the film, as I originally saw it, was very significant. When it comes to three bands, I go to the point of buying books about their story, reading about them. If they're in a magazine, I buy that magazine. Back in the day when we had magazines, anyway, right? And this is one of them. And when I saw this film, I was the perfect age, late teens, and it just spoke to me. But I've always heard the music while watching the film. And since the new album has come out, and of course, I'm talking about me listening to it through Apple streaming, right? I've been really just listening to the music. I've been walking, right? I try to walk, my goal is to hit 5 miles a day. Right. I haven't been hitting that lately, but I try to stay active, and that's the time I like to, that's when I am I did see that. Okay, I was talking about me being on where? On my walks. I'll get right to you. Listening to this new album. I always shut down and I want to acknowledge this. Oh, Bill Hawkins, thank you so much. $20. He says, sorry, I missed the notification. Concert for Bangladesh. Oh, wow. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I have that on DVD. Of course, I have that on DVD, and you can't buy it on Apple Tunes. The last time I saw Bill, thank you so much for that. I have. Are you referring to the video I put out, which went through the Z sections of my record collection, and then I went down and I shared just a handful of dozens and dozens of DVDs I have, rock DVDs, right? And that's one I have. All right, so we were talking about the album now, and me listening to it for the first time as an album on my walks, and that I was about to say I'm a proponent for digital listening just for that alone, folks. All right. You put your phone in your pocket, you put a great pair of earbuds in your ear, and you are into hypersonic, high fidelity realms that were never even begun to be achieved, even with the Walkman way back in the day, right? And so this is how I've been listening to the album. It everything's at my disposal. I'm walking. Yes, let's listen to some music. All right. Now think about that. This is the first time that I've actually heard this music without sitting down and watching the film. And I gotta tell you, this album breathes, to use a term that Pink Floyd went on to use in their very next album, right? But it does, it breathes. Okay. Part of that has to do with, uh, first of all, the exoskeleton of the whole performance. The exoskeleton, and I haven't given Roger Waters enough credit as a bassist in my videos. I've always said I'm a great fan of him, and I still would never put him in my top 10, maybe not even my top 20. But he is a very clever uh, bassist who thinks symphonically. Remember, I've told you about that in the past. How George Martin said he endeavored to teach the Beatles to think symphonically. Think of what's within the song, and his bass work on both in the movie and on the album is very much there. But here's another thing, and I've gotten criticism when I gave a big ranking Nick Mason as one of my favorite drummers. I got a ton of you going, he's not the best drummer. I didn't say he was the best drummer, but he was ranked very high, and many of you didn't think he's that good. All right, I got a challenge for you now. All right, now think about what I just said. Think symphonically. Next time, put this album on, put some headphones on, put some incense on, and have a whatever it is that puts you in the zone, and listen to this album. Give yourself the time to listen to at least the 8 cuts, because the second disc is almost bonus, and we'll talk about that as well. But the 8 cuts for the album proper, and tell me that Nick Mason isn't one of rock's best drummers. Is he in the top 10? I don't know. We've been discussing a lot of drummers over on Royce's house when I'm over there on his stream, right? And and people have been, fielding this drummer, that drummer, over the months, and so I would have to put Mason behind some of those guys. But what an incredible drummer either way. And I'll tell you another thing that I like about him is the same thing that Paul McCartney liked about Denny Sewell when he first auditioned Denny Sewell for Wings. And Paul would later say, I like the way he went to his toms. Now, Denny Sewell said, when I went in there, I knew it was Paul McCartney. I knew he was used to drumming with Ringo, so I went to my toms, right? I'm going to tell you, uh, Nick Mason's tom work in this film and his syncopation and his willingness to withdraw from the music. Now you're talking about you're going to start understanding what I'm talking about, breathing, okay? And it goes from almost uh, ethereal sounding to all of a sudden almost funk sound. Usually starting all these tracks starting with most of the time David Gilmour's guitar changing it by going dang, dang, and all of a sudden Mason's right there. Okay, so you hear a lot of that throughout the whole album. It's amazing. All right, and let's see. Yeah, the opening. I in my notes I said you want proof, and the example I gave is the opening. It's called a Pompei intro, and then it fades. It doesn't blend. It's not a crossfade into track two. It has a definite end, but it is like there's not like a 2.5 second wait or anything. As soon as it definitely ends, then comes Echoes, one of my favorite and probably my single most favorite Pink Floyd song. And boy, that's saying a lot, but because of the emotional contact I have with the song, seeing the movie so many times. He was my favorite Floyd guy at the time. I thought he looked real cool with his beard, except for when they went to Abbey Road and all of a sudden the beard disappears, right? Because it didn't happen all at the same time, even though you think and you go, well, gee, I wonder if he shaved. Boy, he grows beards fast.
Oh, no,
I saw that.
so
Rock and Robin Bird, $3. Thank you so much. Oh, wonderful. And Rock and Robin Bird, by the way, is also a channel member. She's or he, I don't know. Rock and Robin Bird. I don't know. Anyway, Rock and Robin Bird, let me know so I can put a semi face to you. Is also, they're a tribal elder. All right, because they've joined the channel, and I am really gearing up my videos for you guys, and a whole lot's going on with channel memberships right now. So thank you so much, Rock and Robin Bird. I was just looking to see if he was typing in. Girl, lady, I had a feeling. I said she. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. Wonderful. That was the vibe I always got, right, Kimberly?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I think it's a girl. I'm not sure, but I didn't want to offend.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe it could be some dude going, yeah. Well, I like Robin when I was a kid. Yeah, he's a lady. That's right.
Yep.
What was that famous thing from Gilligan's Island? I'll stands by you, Master Gilligans. Why you taught me how to walk and how to talk like a regular lady.
Yeah.
I love Marianne. Okay, so anyway, I was using the example of the opening intro, Pompeii intro and echoes, and how the mysterious disappearances of facial hair with the bands. But again, that is all explained because the director, and I explained that at the beginning of the stream, the director went back and made contact with the band and wanted to make a proper film out of it that could see a theater release. All right. Let's see. Oh, yeah. And then it's also the fact that most of these tracks are long. All right. Now you can talk about, let me get my window up here that I had concerning. Yeah. Here's what I ordered. And this is interesting too. So you're going to get, if you ordered it on LP, I would imagine CDs the same thing. Matter of fact, I checked. It is the same. It is the same thing. You get a Pompei intro, which is a heartbeat and effects, and it blends into Echoes Part 1. And then the last song on side one, if you're buying this LP, is Careful with That Axe Eugene. Side two, or side B, they're calling it, A Saucer Full of Secrets, Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun. We're going to talk about that a little bit tonight, as well as several of these songs. And then side C, that's the last, just those two songs on side B. Side C is One of These Days, then Mademoiselle Nebs, all right, the shortest song on the album, I believe, except for the intro, and of course, Echoes, Part Two. And what a wonderful way, because basically you've got Echoes with a prelude to it twice on the album, and both versions are worth listening to. Now, side D is kind of the bonus material. All right. Side D has Careful with That Axe Eugene and an alternative mix and A Saucer Full of Secrets unedited. Okay. And there's different times and everything. So they've been really thorough about this. Now, it's interesting here. I just got this article. It says the recently released soundtrack to the band's 1992 concert film, Pink Floyd at Pompeii. See what they've done there? And then they have the Roman numerals, hyphen Roman numerals. They're adding that too. Tops, what? I'm not going to try and figure those out. Tops the UK chart this week, making it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band's seventh UK number one hit album. Do you know not even Dark Side of the Moon was a number one UK Pink Floyd hit album? I think it got to number two in the UK. Can you believe that? Everywhere else, it went, number one is there one higher than number one? I mean, everybody's mother's uncle had that album back in the day. I didn't know it. A household that didn't have that album, either through kids in the household having it or proper adults having it, being fans of that album. So we've got that happening. Now, the reason I wanted to bring that up, let me make sure that, get back to that in a minute. So here it is. It's the number one album in the UK. And here I am up talking about this album, and I am quite aware of the movie. I've seen the new, movie, and I've listened to the albums. I don't have a physical copy of either. All right, I brought that up already, but that's the problem. See, I ordered this right away. I even called, gave them another reply, telling them, "Look, I'm a YouTube content creator. I have X amount of subscribers. Oh, and by the way, folks, we just hit, it may go down. You never know with this, taking away of subscribers thing we've talked about before. But just before I went up on the air, maybe an hour before, the channel hit 44,700 subscribers. And it's reached that about 3 times today, just to kind of give you an idea of how things are going. It hit 701, then it's down to 698, and then it's back to 701. Yeah, it's been rubber banding back all day, but I think it's safe to say pretty much we've reached the 700 mark on there. And we're only, at last count, we had 202. So we're only 298 away from hitting 45. I like fives, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Yeah. So when you see the channel leap into another 5,000, I always like that. So tell your mother, tell your father, telegram. I don't care, but let somebody know that this tribe needs to grow. All right. Anyway, so here I am without my album. Right. I don't think they've even tried to release the film physically yet. Maybe they have. I haven't seen anything on it. But well pre-ordered, and I have nothing to show you. And I did order it from the Pink Floyd site, right? Because I like to support the band from the source. And besides, I've had some run-ins with some other distributors, uh, uh, getting certain artists, and I'm not a fan of what a lot of people will order through, right? And all I get is we have a backup. Even when told them, look, I'm a content creator, I need this, I wanted to do a review on it. Uh, when I got back to them the third time, they never wrote me back to my response. And in an upcoming video, when I do get that album and I do cover it, names will be dropped. That's all I can say, man. Welcome to the free enterprise system, baby. You don't do your job, I'm the customer and I'm going to complain. All right. So I'm not happy about that. But I'm wondering if, because they're saying there's a clog up in the system. Really? You mean maybe you're withholding physical copies? And maybe some of you people in the UK can let me know if this is a possibility. Because this just popped into my head maybe 20 minutes before I got on tonight. Maybe they're withholding the shipments to the US because that's where I ordered it, right? Or however, or that their connections that they ship out of that may be based in the United States. I don't know how it works. But is all of that being held and bounced back, if indeed that's what they had to do, to handle the sales to make sure this album hit number one in the UK? Because that is a major deal. And I'm glad for the band. It should be number one in the United States of America, as far as I'm concerned. I haven't looked to see how high it is on the American charts. If somebody knows, let us know. Babe, if you see somebody talking about how high the album is charted on Billboard, let me know. All right? Okay. Yeah. Uh, but it should be number one. It wasn't listed in that article I was talking about. So, as far as I'm concerned, so here it is. To me, this is a brand new album. Even though I've heard this music dozens and dozens and dozens of times without even having any access whatsoever to the bootleg. As I said, I didn't know there was a bootleg. How would I know there's a bootleg situation going on, right? So you look at these pieces on the album. You've got, look at this. I say, the album has time to breathe. You've got, let me make sure here. Yeah, echoes 1 and 2 equals up to 25 plus minutes in length with the special edit. And here's the other thing, my digital Apple version of this album has yet another edit of echoes. Really nice, shortened, radio friendly, much shorter and everything. Wonderfully done. And yet, I guess I'm not going to get that on vinyl or on CD. I checked. That's not being offered on physical copies. So there's a bonus for you to go digital and to go to a stream. At least with Apple, that's how they've released it. Maybe others in there. But you've got a half hour devoted on the album to one piece of music, and certainly 25 plus minutes devoted there live at Pompei for that purpose, doing it. And how they did a lot of their stuff is they would perform them in sections and then would through editing and everything. So it's not the pure performance. They're actually performing, but this movement will do, then we'll do that movement, and then we'll just bring it on in with the tape. We know how to, to bring all of that in. Maybe we'll put a segment in here of the band at wherever, Abbey Road, recording us and them. And then it goes back. But that's how they did it. I looked it up. All right. So it's not just like, this is it. This is the performance, and they just caught us on camera. Okay. So if you think about it along those lines, this was very meticulously done, wasn't it? Quite purposeful. Nothing that's presented here is presented as a B song.
They're all to be considered, and with the exception of Mademoiselle, whatever it is, I never cared for that. I understand the artistic bent, yeah, give the dog a bone, but that's the one weak cut. But it's very very quick, and if you're in the mood, it does set up echoes. It does set up echoes, right? But if there is a, a warble to this album, I think it's right there. But you've got set the controls for the Heart of the Sun, 10 minutes and 29 seconds. A Saucer Full of Secrets. You've got two versions. One is 10 minutes and 10 seconds. The other is 12 minutes and 45 seconds, damn near 13 seconds. Careful with that axe, Eugene. You have two different versions, and this is probably the most reasonably length song on the album, at the long version being 6 minutes and 38 seconds, the short version coming in at 6:03. 6 minutes. For this album, man, that's that's a quick song. And it all of these songs are set, the song list order all carries you on a journey here. I was even thinking to myself, what if we put Saucer Full of Secrets here and flip that with that? No, Echoes has to start where it is. And each song creates a different mood that brings you back to Echoes, right? And the song being Echoes, you would almost have to have an artistic impression of an album that contains echoes to have the echo version, right? Well, we have echoes, and then we have the echo of the echoes version too, right? So very artistic. I love that. So when we're talking about this album, I think we've got a masterpiece, and that's what I wanted to ask you guys uh, about. But what do you guys think about? Let me make sure I've got all of this. Oh, I did want to bring up what is that? Set the control of the Heart of the Sun. I did want to bring this up, and then I'm going to go get in there and start talking with you folks. Set the control for the Heart of the Sun is such a wonderful piece of music to have in here, and it is the only Pink Floyd song that is by either partially or whatever. It's basically Roger Waters' song. But Pink Floyd had this thing where people would write their own pieces. This is the only song that was written by all five members of Pink Floyd, right? Sid Barrett helped develop this piece originally. Of course, David Gilmour had already been brought in to kind of replace, Barrett, and he had his part. Some of the best drumming from Nick Mason is on this song. Every single member of Pink Floyd wrote this song. So, wow, what a golden opportunity. All right, so let me kind of turn my attention. I want to make sure, just real quick, check the rest of my notes that I'm not missing anything on this. Don't think so. Lucy. Oh, yeah, here's another thing to remember that I love about this. What about those whim horns and the amps underneath? That's their PA system, baby. When I saw that, the horns, I mean, I've got a PA system right here and behind me, right over there it is, way over here. And they have a horn that's about this big. It pumps out 1200 watts RMS. So it's a powerful little PA system, right? I've played big, big venues with it. And it has a horn about this big. These horns are massive, man. Coned out and everything. Oh, they look wonderful. And that was made by the Watkins Electric Music Company. All right. And they were known also for their copycat tape echo unit. And I'm wondering, is that the unit that we hear David Gilmour playing through, because there are echo effects. He uses them to great extent on this. And I saw that connection. Does anybody know? Let me know. Let me know. Does anybody know what effects David Gilmour uses, just in general life? I've never really looked into it. I figured, well, he's got his stuff. That was enough for me. I was never a guitarist. I was going to learn his solos because I don't do that. That's not my thing. And so I didn't need to emulate the sounds in order to play those solos and make them sound good, right? And we've got a lot of Gilmour just reaching for the heavens with a wah, and then all of a sudden, wah, just out of the blue, screeching, right? And that's another thing that I noticed about the movie. The performance brought it up, and then I listened to the album again, and then I go, yes, I hear it now. Is while the skeleton of the performance, the base of the performance is all on Waters and Mason. It is David and Richard who are orchestrating these massive pieces for the most part. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, let's get back to the comments here and see what we can see. What's going on here? Let's see. Start somewhere at the beginning of the middle. How does that sound? Bill Hawkins. I love Pompeii, but I could do without the bubbling mud pots. It reminds me of the dork that filmed Cream's farewell concert in 1968 with all the lava light effect. Yeah, I can hear you, man. But you know what? Yeah. No, now I'll never get that out of my head. Thanks, Bill. I hear you. But see, when I'm watching it, it's like the Greco-Roman art that they showcase, and the bubbling to me it represents that even these thousands, I don't even know when Pompeii, it's Vesuvius. I'm sure it's AD, right? Somewhere around there. But hundreds and hundreds of years ago, this happened. And the whole city was absolutely covered. And they've been uncovering bodies, or what encased the bodies that were probably cooked in it. But we've all seen this before, so we know it's. And that's another thing I like about the movie and what it presents. First of all, they sound great. Have you noticed when at the very beginning of the movie, the camera slowly from very far away so that you can see, oh, this is an ancient Greco-Roman amphitheater. All right. It was the Greeks that designed this kind of amphitheater. And it was the Greeks that designed those amphitheaters to perform absolutely spot on. Those amphitheaters were the high-tech music device or performance device of their time. All of them designed. No mics for the performers. Up to 5,000 to 10,000 watching, right? And all they could do, the actors would, of course, project, but the amphitheater was designed to deliver even the softest of sounds evenly throughout that. And so Pink Floyd sounds wonderful. And I'll prove that they used that amphitheater and its natural sounds. Because a lot of people will be thinking, well, yeah, but they've plugged, they're playing out there, but they plugged each instrument, into a soundboard, and the soundboard, and you get a mix from the soundboard. And you're right. That does happen, except that this is at a time where they also were pumping those instruments into the PA. And if you notice, they have two probably $30,000, $50,000 mics, each evenly placed in front of the band to pick up the natural sound that amphitheater had to offer. And then they blend that recording from those two mics with the online board, and they try to get an evened sound. That's usually how they go about it, right? So Yeah, but I kind of got into the whole what it meant. Bill, I really did. To me, the bubbling is like, I'm still a danger. I'm still here. Don't get me to blow my top. And the tragedy, and, it's like Pompeii is a perpetual car wreck that you can't take your eyes off of. I don't know how many documentaries I've watched on Pompeii over the decades. Yeah, it's almost a perverse curiosity. Oh my goodness, it's a tragedy, really. All right, let's see. Who else do we have here? Making sure I'm just getting it past the chit chat, folks. Uh, yes, that's true over my Oberheim. But as soon as that stated, he's talking about the semicolon versus the colon, and I'll tell you what. Okay, that's a good point because as soon as he reads that or it's pointed out, that's why I didn't bring it up. Uh, yeah, he did make a mistake on how he does it, and so there is a way to figure out whether it's the real Michael Noland making a comment. Here's how to figure out if it's me. Until I hear from other content creators, I'm not going to be typing into anybody's streams whatsoever, with the exception right now of Royce. Royce and I have an understanding now. How do you know it's me versus that guy over at Royce until we can get him kicked out? It's real simple, folks. Over there, my name comes up. It doesn't look like his, not just because I have a colon, not a semicolon, right? But my name also has a wrench over there. And my name has a red star because I'm a member of Royce's wonderful channel. So that's how you'll recognize me over there. Here, I don't type in because I can't get there, but you'll see me. I'm pretty much highlighted as the guy anyway, and you know who it is. But you'll see the difference over here. And like I said, if you see him out there today, of course, he's a coward. He's not going to do that, you know, be the end of his little empire and plot to take over the world, you know. MIA was after me. They wanted me to rule the world for them. But yeah, so that just keep that in mind. That's why I'd like Paul to get a hold of me. If he deputized me over there, I'd promise never to, use the power of the wrench. But then people could see me over there. That's the only thing I can think of. The only other place that I'm aware, I've heard he's showed up on other places, right? But that I'm actually hard ass aware of. So he showed up on a Rachel's Ghost one, and they shut him down immediately, banned his ass. So he can't do that anymore over there. Not as that guy's. And we all know who this is, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It could be one of maybe three people, but they're all minions of each other, right? And so, when this happens, we'll do as Pink Floyd at Pompeii does. We'll breathe through it, folks. There's no other way to get past it. And I'm sorry if any of this bullshit has gone and spoiled any part of this party for you, folks. That's sad. Some people just like to see other people suffer, right? Except I'm not suffering, my man. Eargesplit. Sorry I'm late. Howdy, Michael, Kimberly, and salute to the tribe. And a salute to you too, brother. Oberheim, troll, semicolon. Okay, yeah, so you guys are getting it. Let's see. Yesterday was the 50th anniversary of Motorhead. Rest in peace, Lemmy, Phil, and Eddie. 50th anniversary. Wow. I didn't know that. I didn't catch. I'm usually pretty good on anniversaries. Well, yes, and definitely rest in peace. Absolutely. What was it? Oh, yeah, that was Deuce that brought that up. Okay, really good. Let's see. Okay, David L. You do that. All right. Some of these things, I don't want it to be a bitch fest, folks. I'd rather just stay focused on what we're trying to do here. But there are bad guys. There are bad guys. We go get them. You know. Let's see. Hey, TJR, good to see you in the comments. Just saw two of your videos, brother, just today. Pompeii is projected for top 20 to 50 in America, while R- Reggaeton Bad Bunny, I'm not familiar with them, brother, is projected for number one. Okay. So it's projected for uh, the top 2250. Is that what they're thinking? It's the kind of business that the album's going to do. Wow. Wow. That would, I mean, Pink Floyd's really big in America, and I'm surprised that they couldn't. I mean, with especially with the IMAX presentation, although, just the regular 4K version doesn't look that much better. I mean, it's fine. It's wonderfully filmed. I always loved the film right from the start. Even when I'd watch it at the California Theater, and you'd see an occasional spark or it because it had been shown already 200-300 times, right? So I thought it looked good even then. I bought into the whole deal. Let's see. The 2016 Live at Pompeii version on the 1972 obfuscation set. They had echoes as one track. I heard something about that. And what this was an unsanctioned? Is this a bootleg, TJR? Because I had heard that, and I'll tell you why they could do that. It was recorded again in sections, but it was recorded to be one piece. It was the director's idea to split it up, to have a bookend, the strongest bookend, ending and beginning for the film. I do know that, so that makes perfect sense. And I did read something about one bootleg actually had echoes as just one performance. So maybe you can let us in on any more information about that. Let's see. Never heard this Mademoiselle song. I'll have to look it up. Where are earplugs, brother? Okay. Who was it? David L. David L says, never heard of this Mademoiselle song. ... Unto eternity. I'll have to look that one up. Brother. Okay. Let's see. David L. Definitely maybe Match Made in Heaven to Divining Dragon, who said, you and Michael cultivate only the best. Laugh out loud. Oh, to Kimberly, thank you so much. That's wonderful. Yeah, you guys are absolutely terrific. Let's see. John Patterson. It's always good when a retreated album or retreaded album is improved upon sonically. It's unfortunate when conglomerates like Apple promote the digital format only. Yeah. Well, I mean, right now for me, it's not like, you know, it's not I'm not living in the middle of San Francisco or anything like that, but our hometown, well, the hometown we currently live in, not my hometown, has about 200,000 people in it, over actually 200,000 people in it. So it's not exactly a small town. It's a good sized city. And you would think, so it's not a matter of not getting it. It's like this is clogged from the source. They haven't bothered to send it. There's no tracking my package. And the second that album came out, I ordered it, folks. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Let's see. Uh, This is all presented as it was intended. Not sure where you're coming from. Or are you talking about the Pompei track listing on that? Is that what you're talking about when you say that, Deuce? It's hard to get all group artists to receive credit for tracks for some reason. Oh, yeah, especially if you're working with Roger Waters. I'll give you an example, Dark Side of the Moon, and I'd have to bring it up to see who was credited in writing what piece of song. But just do a Wikipedia check on it, and you'll see all four members of writing material there. Okay. He wrote all the lyrics to the album, but the way this is being written, when I read the article that was covering, I think that was Wikipedia that I was reading it on, where they were talking about set the controls of the Heart of the Sun and how and who wrote what. It's like this is a song written by Roger Waters, and as memory serves, anyway, that contains pieces within written by not only the other three, but Sid Barrett as well. That kind of it not quite like that, but sort of. Yeah, maybe.
Mrs. Wild said, yes, Michael, I was referring to the new Pompeii CD release.
Okay, the new Pompei CD. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And you know what, Deuce? With the exception of the by the way, Deuce, did you? I'm pretty sure the CD doesn't get that extra echoes. Let us know. Babe, let me know when he checks in because I don't want to lose my place here. I'm kind of going down, trying to get some people that I usually don't call on here.
Yeah.
Chris Alcroft. I'll start again. Don't know about the Billboard chart performances of this live Pink Floyd album, but I'm delighted to report it's a new entry in the official UK albums chart, straight in at #1. I know, and I'm so happy for him. 2025, and we have a brand new Pink Floyd album that we never had before. All right, I know. There was this release and that release. They were out there, but I wasn't aware of it. And I'll bet you 90% of Pink Floyd fans weren't aware of it, right? Or certainly a high percentage weren't aware of it. And there was probably a high percentage of the few who didn't buy it, right? That's a definite, kind of marginalized market right there. And I would have, if I had known about it, I just never heard about it. So, but officially speaking, this album's never existed, even though the music has been around for more than 50 years. Wow, I just saw something flash up on the screen. What was this?
Oh,
White Monkey.
White Monkey.
Thank you so much.
Oh, that's so sweet.
$5. Thank you so much. What did you say? What do you think about the new Lennon documentary coming out soon? Borrowed Time, Last Decade of John. Yeah. Well, okay. Don't know much about it. The Last Decade of John, as far as his personal life, not my favorite decade of John's, although I'm sure it was his. He did exactly. I'm happy for John. When he didn't want, don't you miss the big time, boy, you're no longer on the ball, right? And he had reached that point. I was happy for him. He found the love of his life. I was happy for him. He had a son that he loved. I was happy for him. He needed to take time off. I was happy for him. But the last decade of his life, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like half the film, is going to be empty. First of all, because he was gone for 5 years. And if we're going to be talking about like home bliss, and I'm not that interested. I'm not a Yoko fan. And like I said, everything else that I've just said, I'm happy for John. I'm happy for Yoko, but I didn't like a lot of what Yoko brought to John as an artist. And that's where the debate would go, because most John Lennon fans, if you say something like that, that's heresy, right? I thought she was too esoteric. I think she climbed up her own ass in her art. I think a lot of it was a lot of highbrow, nonsensical. You're expected to get it, after all. Oh, I climbed a ladder and it said yes. And then I thought, yes. It made sense to John. John's a genius. I'm not. So it's just my opinion, folks. All right. Oh, we got another one here. $10 from Deuces Wild. His cool was it when Pink Floyd went in to record their first album. The Beatles were recording Sgt. Pepper's in 1967. The camaraderie of these British bands was impeccable. And wasn't it Norman Smith that went over to Pink Floyd at that time period, Deuce? Normal Smith? Norman Smith, the Beatles' first engineer who engineered all their albums from Please Please Me through Rubber Soul. Jeff Emmerich would take over from that point, only quitting once or twice, and or not their engineer due to television union rules that he couldn't break when they were recording it for Let It Be, and he did quit during the White Album because both him and George Martin had enough of the infighting and the Beatles nonsense, right? So yeah, and I think Norman Smith, uh, besides becoming Hurricane Smith, you know, and getting was that a number one song? Something tells me that's even a number one song, certainly a top 10 song. Big. I think I remember it going to number one. So as a performer himself, but also his work with Pink Floyd, right? Marcus Thompson, Michael Nolan, are you at least interested in seeing the full cleaned up version of the Lennon one-to-one concert that's scheduled for release later this year? Oh, sure I am. Yeah, I always want to see concert footage and everything. Absolutely. Hey, by the way, Marcus, I am a major John Lennon fan. All right. Uh, John Lennon and Paul McCartney were tied as the best songwriters of all time for me for right up until the point that John Lennon passed away, or even after that. But after a while, then we got more, and it's not Paul's fault that he wasn't murdered, right? But he did get more time to present more material, even a couple of masterpieces after John's death. And so I became more, I guess my main go to guy would be McCartney out of the two of them. But it's only because uh, there was John Lennon and the Beatles, they're totally tied going in. Early John Lennon solo stuff, totally tied, in my opinion. Many fans thinking John was outperforming Paul because they cut down the McCartney album, who later was which was later reassessed as a masterpiece by many audiophiles, being an example of lo-fi recording, one of the primordial lo-fi recording events. Uh, and a lot of critics cutting down Ram as nonsense and everything, and that's been reevaluated. And most McCartney fans would probably choose Ram or Band on the Run as his best album. Okay, if you get right down to it. So he had, and then John went into exile, and that was it. And the whole thing, interviews with him and Yoko, the bed in. I'm just not a fan of that. I just wasn't.
Oh,
That's
my
all.
Storm came in.
Oh my goodness, James!
We were
He always comes in late, and then
He does. He comes in with thunder. Oh, my goodness.
$20 from Storm Cop. James Ben Scheidecker, another $5. Do you see that, babe? Let me get to Storm Cop here first. I'll get to you, Ben. I really have to stop being so darn late. Brother, you come in like this here. You're welcome to come whenever you want. Nobody's complaining about that. Ben Scheidecker, we should get more classic rock live films restored for IMAX theater. I agree. I agree. There seems to be a market for it. Oh, and I want to talk about that. Seems to be a market for it. I'd rather see them in their prime rather than corpses of their former selves. Yeah, well said. Okay, so I agree with that. See, I'm wondering with all these bands that are out there touring, like Foreigner with four lead singers now, only one of them has any pedigree, and so many other bands that are touring with no members. We've talked a whole lot. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to digress into this whole thing, but I'm saying for those bands, it's time to put a lid on it. All right. I just found out the Who was going to do their last North American. I'm not buying tickets. That ain't the Who. But have at it, folks. It'll be my last time. Well, it would have been your last time for the last 30, 40 years. All right. However long it's been since Moon's gone, right? Early 80s, 90s, 40 years. Yep. Right. Could have been your last time, although, yeah, but I want, well, go. You ain't seeing the Who, as far as I'm concerned. That's not the Who. That's Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend, formerly of the Who. That's how the whole tour should even be promoted. But here we go again. I was saying this last year. I was telling you when Pete Townsend was in interviews talking about how he needed to talk Roger Daltrey into doing one more Who thing. I covered it several times in 2024, maybe even late 2023. I told you they weren't done. And just this week, boom, North American tour. Here we go. The last. This time we mean it for sure. Tap, tap, no erases, right? Doesn't it get down to this? Well, I meant it at the time, right? Right on the heels after Pete Townsend does an interview telling us all how he really, truly doesn't enjoy being on stage. It does absolutely nothing for him. Then why in the hell are you up there, Pete? Oh, it's the money, honey. Not impressed, brother. Not one bit. All right. And I have financially supported you for a good portion of my life. And this is bullshit as far as I'm concerned. So, neener. All right. My tirade on Pete's all done, folks. By the way, I'm a Pete Townsend fan. I even bought his albums where he had the double album of his demos and stuff. One of my favorite rockers. But so is Paul McCartney. And I've cut Paul down to the quick for his corporate sponsorship, high ticket prices, and a declining voice. I'm going to just call it as I see it. I'm not going to sit here and watch the emperor butt naked while everybody else sits there and goes, oh, such flowing robes. And they can't get their eyes off the middle of his, yeah, you know. Why do I want to all of a sudden play Paul McCartney's song, Sing Along Junk? Anyway, so let's see. TJR, the 20 was mixed by Andy Jackson. Okay, David Gilmour's longtime engineer. Now, did Andy Jackson actually engineer David Gilmour's latest album? Because I just did a review of it. I like it. I like David Gilmour's latest outing. So it's been a good year. I think I'm in the minority of that. I did it. Hardly anybody watched the video. I mean, it was like, it wasn't devoid of views, but it wasn't one of my bigger videos. And I don't do videos just necessarily for views anyway. I do videos on what I want to talk about. All right. And every once in a while, what I want to talk about, you all want to talk about. Right. And so those videos go damn near viral. I haven't actually, they say an official viral video is 1 million views. I've gotten 1/3 of the way there a couple of times. All right. About 1/3 of a million views. But for a channel my size, that's like going viral. Right. And so there wasn't a lot of interest in that. And a lot of you responding seemed to have a bit, as I recall, there was more of a negative bent to the comments in general. And for those of you who actually agreed with me that it's a good album, I'm not cutting you guys down. I'm just saying that was I got a lot of criticism, not for my viewpoint necessarily, just for the album. And my viewpoint was that the album was great, right? So what do? Let's see, who else is out here? Roger, boy, you've got a lot of, oh, wait a minute, Original Grasshopper, I haven't covered you today. As a matter of fact, are you new? Welcome, Original Grasshopper. Or I haven't noticed you yet. I'm an old man. All right. Have pity upon my brain. Sometimes it goes left when I want to go right. But he says, I missed the beginning of your live stream, so forgive me if you mentioned this earlier, but I just read that someone incinerated all the outtake footage of this film decades ago. What a shame. You know what I oh, great comment. I'm glad I almost skipped over you. And I go, whoa, what are you doing, Michael? Yeah, I read the same thing just before coming on. I always do research and stuff so that I at least have, an up-to-date kind of viewpoint on whatever project or album or artist I'm covering. And I read the same thing that happened. Nobody seemed to be too upset with it either. So I'm wondering, did they take like the very best uh, copies of that over to redo it and everything? It's real clean. I'll tell you, the digital version of this film in 4K, I think it's in 4K. I'd have to check again if it's 4K, but I would imagine it is. It's wonderful. Either way, it's a visual delight. And I talked about this before too. Um, the the album, first of all, to me, that's the new thing. I'm glad to see the film get a punch up as well. All right, and that, yeah, the latest, it was due. What was the last one? Was 2002, and that's the one I have. Oh, right here. Okay, this is my personal copy of Pink Floyd, and what is it called here? Live at Pompeii. See, it used to be called Live at Pompeii. There you go. All right, and this is the director's cut, but it also has a copy of the original film. And as soon as I saw the director's cut, I mean, it was fun to watch for a while, but you know, uh, it can't be any better than 2002 technology for the special effects. And they do this planetarium thing. This is what I truly envisioned, you know, a more of a galactic event rather than a revisit to Pompeii directly, with ties to the real world and footage of the band working at Abbey Road Studios, actually recording, busy recording and composing The Dark Side of the Moon. But see, I love that version of it. I don't like the planetary thing. Okay, don't need that. But the original version, and I love that. I always have, and the reason is because that version is more true to what I feel the music is about. The director's hearing this intergalactic. I think he saw the title, set the controls to the heart of the sun, and went, yeah, you know. But it's worth a gander, folks. I'm serious about that. It is definitely worth a gander to watch, and maybe you won't be as unimpressed as I am, right? But this new version, everything punched up and everything is wonderful. But that's like a remix. That's a remaster, right? With the album, this is a new product, in my estimation. This is a product we didn't have before. This is a product that, hey, Pink Floyd, one of my top three favorite bands, have got at Pompeii. I want it now. Yesterday was too late. And so I ordered it the second the news came out. I still haven't gotten I've gotten a confirmation of my order. That's as far as it's gone. And I'm wondering if indeed, because it's doing so well in the UK, if they're holding off, because people want to buy physical copies of it, is everything being held off because of that? Wow, we got another one here from White Monkey. $5. Thank you so much. Boy, you're on a tear here today.
Super thanks, hon.
I just saw that, darling.
Oh my
I was
goodness.
responding to it. Kimberly had to leave the room here a second, so she saw it from out there and she's coming back in. I used to go see Laser Floyd at Hayden Planetarium in the 1980s. It was very cool. You know what they were doing? I love planetariums. Um,
Oh, boy.
uh,
So nice.
astronomy is one of my minor interests. I'm a fan. I like to watch a lot of astronomy films. I'm very into space, the final frontier, right? And so I boldly go to planetariums occasionally. And as a matter of fact, last year we had a real nice alignment of what was it? Saturn, Jupiter, and then on the other side, I think it was Venus. And we went to the rooftop of the planetarium with some nice telescopes, clearly seeing the rings in color around Saturn. And just looking up in the sky, watching it is amazing, right? Um, so, but what was it? It was last year, and we went and saw it. We went to the planetarium and we watched the Dark Side of the Moon planetarium presentation that was going on, I think, all over the United States anyway, with planetariums in celebration of that. And it was just wonderful. Yeah, a darkened room that now becomes the night sky, and they throw up whatever they want to kind of go with the theme of the dark side of the moon. Like I said, if I have to choose one album by Pink Floyd, it's got to be The Dark Side of the Moon. There's a question for all of you tonight. Which Pink Floyd album is your favorite? I think a whole lot of us are going to pick Dark Side of the Moon. To not pick it is almost impossible because it's, in my humble opinion, the Dark Side of the Moon. I always want to just call it Dark Side. Dark Side uh, is one of those key albums in rock that are so pristinely, perfectly put together that there's just no denying of its greatness. Now, having said that, it's also one of the albums in rock in general, not just one of the albums by Pink Floyd, but it's also one of the albums in rock that I thoroughly overplayed as a young guy, right? I mean, to the point of I didn't want to hear it again. And so I spent, in one of my recent videos, I said I spent a decade, actually, it's probably closer to two, not listening to that album. I was burnt out on it. That's good. Good stuff. But when I got into vinyl, of course, I bought the 50th anniversary, had to get it and sat down and played it. And it hit me. It all of a sudden hit me almost as powerfully as the first time. Remember the first time? Can you remember the first time you ever heard Dark Side of the Moon? And I'm really asking you folks who, no, you didn't hear Money first. No, you just, wow, right? It's a perfect album, all right? And it's probably not my favorite Pink Floyd album. My favorite Pink Floyd album, I've just been listening to a ton of it lately. And I've been listening to it on a streaming service because the only LP I have is the new remix. I love the inner stuff, but the beginning, the first track, last track, what is the Pigs on a Wing, whatever it's called. I don't like that at all. Everything's quieted down. There's a slight echo to padded away. I love the acoustic guitar just brashly coming in and his voice strong, dry. And so I've been listening to the original version of the album. And, the more I'm listening to it, I'm wondering if it needed a remix at all. There's some things I like better on the remix, but was it worth it, especially with those bookend pieces? I don't think so. But that's probably my favorite Pink Floyd album. It says so much to me. And guess what? It actually, I developed a whole philosophy listening. I was a young man when this came out. I was still developing my life's philosophy. And like anybody else, we develop our own personal philosophies by the education we get, whether that be through school and or education through the arts and or many other avenues. For me, it was the arts and what people had to say. And I am sure, to Roger Waters' thorough chagrin. I think it's a masterpiece, and I love the lyrics, and he's spot on about everything he's talking about. The only problem is, Roger Waters would tell you, what Nolan's talking about ain't what I was talking about, right? See, it's one of those albums. So this is back when Roger Waters knew how to write more obliquely, not shove it in your face, right? I see this. Michael Boswell, $2. Thank you, brother. Rush, 2112 was mine. Yeah, oh God. I've got to do a Rush video here. Maybe Michael put that in members. Maybe I could do a Rush uh, uh, deal in members. That would be kind of a nice idea. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I do. I appreciate it so much. But anyway, for me, this has been a great year for Pink Floyd, if you think about it. I mean, we've got the movie, and for many younger fans, boy, they got to hear this stuff. This is immersive music. There needs to be an education. Now, I'm wondering, maybe has the American audience dumbed down? And by that I mean, has the American younger audience dumbed down from what the American younger audience used to be? Is there because if this album is projected as White Monkey is suggesting in his comment to hit anywhere from number 20 but no further than number 50. In other words, it's going to be in the top 50 at least, maybe as high as 20. That's how I read that. And it's number one in England. How the hell did that happen? You know? And the only explanation could be that have, because I know the movie's got to be doing business. Younger people are most of the movie going audience these days, but maybe not for this. Maybe somebody knows more about this than I do. But you would think with all the hoopla and everything, and LPs being, a hot ticket item for a lot of young folks these days, you think they're, well, I mean, it went to number one in England, it's doing well. And even if it hits the top 50, it's going to make a lot of money for them. And it gets down to this, though. How good is the album? I think it's a masterpiece. Now that I understand, it's not them just sitting and play. That would make it an ultra masterpiece if they had just played it that way, right? Instead of sewing bits and pieces, but they on purpose knew they were making a movie.
Oh, hi, White Monkey.
I just saw this again.
Oh, my
Yes,
goodness.
and you were out of the room. So did Michael Boswell just
Oh,
now.
Michael.
Yeah.
He is so sweet.
Yeah, dumbed down. I give you Bad Bunny at number one.
Goodness.
See, this is the thing. When I was a young man, your average rock concert goer was quite educated. Your average rock concert goer, even the women, the girlfriends that would go with us were quite educated. You know, even Merv Griffin was having rock bands play on his show by that point. And when you've got Merv Griffin, having special rock stars as guests at performing. God, Kiss was on Merv Griffin. And he's about as white bread of a TV show as I can think of on the planet, right? And yet, so even those who didn't, reading through Rolling Stone, oh, give me cream over here. Oh, yeah, 2112. Ooh, right? And there's a shot for you. But you know what I'm saying? We were very educated. Now, print is dead, right? Your number one source of information is social media. Right here, folks. Right here. There's your number one source of information, right? And so you have a source of media that isn't all entailing, or it is, but you have to dig. And it's often behind channels like your average young person, 25, isn't going to be looking for an old fart like me to talk about Led Zeppelin. He'd rather hear somebody get up and go, "This is the first time I've ever heard Stairway to Heaven. It's my first reaction." Bullshit. There's a con for you, right? Oh, I never heard this song. You can't be alive on planet Earth and not accidentally hear Stairway to Heaven at some time in your life. I call foul on every damn one of you. First time reaction. You know, that's a scam and a half. Oh, ooh, oh, it sounds so pretty, right? Bullshit. Anyway, so but that's where people are going to get their inspiration to even look into classic rock. That's that's it. It's got to be things like that, or a megaton guy that like Rick Beato or the Professor of Rock. All right, now we're talking million or more. I think Professor of Rock said a million. I think he is a little over actually by a couple of 200,000. I want to be that big one day. And Rick Beato's at 3 point something last time I checked. All right, so but even there, you kind of the Professor of Rock, I think, is kind of the generational connection. But Rick Beato, even though he's in his 60s, young punk, uh, he's an expert in everything, and I think he does get early people, but I see more a lot of his early arrivals are like when people hit into their 40s. Rick Beato, you say, they've settled down. Yes, I could, bring in some information, some knowledge into my head about some of this stuff I missed, and so, but I mean that's about it. You don't have a motivated fandom looking
Oh my
for
goodness,
the
White
latest
Monkey
on
did it
theirs.
again.
I see it. I'm gonna get right to it, baby. White Monkey, another $2.
Wow.
My goodness gracious, you are on a roll, White
Oh
Monkey.
yeah,
I'm gonna have to get a calculator, darling.
I
Uh,
know.
I'm gonna do a Bad Bunny reaction video. Well, I'm a sub to your channel. I'm a subscriber. You bring that on, I'm gonna watch it. Now I'll type in my response. By the way, White Monkey has a great channel. I love him. He's as crazy as I am.
Yeah.
I think White Monkey's about as crazy as I am.
Oh my
What do you
goodness.
think?
Oh, he's crazy like a fox.
Yeah, he's crazy like a. Yeah, you got my wife firmly in your camp, buddy. All right. Caitlin, all right. She
Oh
just
yeah,
showed up.
Noland's here.
Sorry I missed the first comment, Kimberly. I didn't see her before this. Tiger Rogers, it's good to see you. The old music magazines were so informative, weren't they? I mean, I remember this just came into my mind. I could have thought of a billion more, but uh, I was at Sambo's, which was kind of like here in California, like a Denny's, if some of you aren't familiar. A Denny's restaurant, you've got booths and a coffee bar. I usually, in my early 20s and late teens, I'd go to the coffee bar. Back then, you could have a cigarette. Somebody asked you to put it out, you saw my cigarette, that kind of thing. Uh, but and I remember just sitting down and reading the latest copy of Rolling Stone magazine. It must have been about 16, 17. I was working as a janitor at the time when I wasn't in school, and Toys in the Attic had just come. And that's the only reason I bought that album. It was written up, yeah, Aerosmith with Toys in the Attic. Who's Aerosmith? I hadn't really heard of them before that, right? And that's where that came from. So you have a more informed audience with the older you get, I think, because we weren't nurtured in to plugging a high percentage of our time into video gaming, even though I know many people I've video gamed, right? I'm not crazy over it. I don't go ape shit over it, but I've done it. I've got a couple games I like to do. But I won't spend the time that it needs to get good. I like to do it. I love real racing. Uh, I love real racing. Okay, and I've gotten very good at that. So it's not like I don't get it, right? I'm not so old that I don't get the
Oh,
allure.
behind us, you got another one. Ben
Oh, Ben. Okay, great. Ben Scheidegger, $10. Listening to music is at our fingertips in today's world. Very good. It's so easy. I think how much of a journey it must have been to try and listen to your favorite record. Only one of your friends owned it, etc. Yeah. And you know what? It was a personal thing. It could be, it could be a gang listening to records. Most of the time it would be like me and a guy, a friend of mine coming over, after school and, oh, you got to hear this new Uriah Heep. Oh, who's Uriah Heep? I was the only guy in my collective that knew about Uriah Heep. I don't even remember how I discovered. I do remember. I saw the Demons and Wizards cover at the record shop and I bought it based on the art. I go, yeah, it's got to be good, right? And I was amazed, right? So, but you'd have a friend over, Hector, come on over. I want you to hear Uriah Heep. Or he'd go, hey, Michael, come on over here. Let's go 204th Street. And then he puts on James Brown because he loved James Brown. So, but it was more intimate, and for me, definitely, because I bought an album. I didn't want to have no friend new, I'd buy, the latest Badfinger, No Dice, Come Home. Ooh, I bought that. Did I buy that the same? No, same place, not same day. I was thinking of All Things Must Pass, sitting at the door 2 3 hours after before it even opened up for All Things Must Pass. But you bought the stuff and you go, oh no, first listen must be me alone, I alone. Ooh, put the candle on, and yeah, whatever, right? Right. And I gotta tell you, getting back to tonight's discussion here, the I'm getting those vibes when I listen to Pink Floyd at Pompeii. And what about that album cover? At first I didn't know what I think about it. I think it's a masterpiece. I love it. The color, the volcanic color. And it's almost like, what is this? They're Abbey Road. They're walking across a lava ridge, in front of us. It's kind of like Pink Floyd's Abbey Road. I love it. What do you guys think of the cover? Right? And how many of you seen the movie? Do you like it? What do you guys think of this album in general? Is this too esoteric for you? Are you, there are a whole lot of people that love Pink Floyd from Dark Side of the Moon on, but all that's other earlier stuff is nonsense, right? And or if they like earlier stuff, they only go so far back. I go all the way back to Sid for me. And that's, I want their very first album. I want all of their stuff on vinyl. They're one of those, these three bands, most definitely, I want everything by them. The Beatles, Led Zeppelin, and Pink Floyd. My favorite. All right. I talk about my fictional Mount Rock Olympus, right? And at its head, as Zeus, is the Beatles. In second place, and junior only to Zeus, is Poseidon. That'd be Led Zeppelin. And then the weird, enigmatic brother, the one that doesn't actually reside on Mount Rock Olympus, but visits occasionally, you know, the god of death himself, Hades, right? So you've got this, that's Pink Floyd for me, right? Everybody else is, take a number, pass the grapes, you know, oh, I'll be Aries today. Okay, I'll be Aries. So, and those would go to like Yes, Queen, Deep Purple, Black Sabbath. You got a bunch of them that reside around. They're gods, but they're not the main three gods for me. And it's just an analogy that how I keep things tracked in my stupid brain, right? I see everything. And I'm an old comic book aficionado. That's how I learned to draw. I wanted to be a comic book artist, right? So everything is in tricolor for me. So this album art is almost comic book, but pop art at its best. I love it. What do you guys think? Just see if anybody's checking in on that. Grant, Grantchester Meadows is the hidden gem with Umagoma. Yes, yes. In
Ben,
case you didn't
Ben
know.
Scheidegger, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I got it. I know I've got Umaguma. I've got Umaguma. Uh yeah, I've got Umaguma. I just want this album now. Right. I did pick that up. I've got metal. I've got the final cut. All right. But it was a good price. I have The Wall. Of course, I have Dark Side of the Moon. I have At Pompeii. It's just not here yet. And oh, it's paid for, bought and paid for. And who? What else do I have? I've got Animals. Did I say that? The Wall. And and next one I want to get is Wish You Were Here. Almost picked that up the last time, but I was after this album and I had to hold it off because this one, especially with delivery charges and everything, cost a pretty penny to get. It was about in the $80 range, all done, which is, I went to every music store on the planet that, well, the 4 or 5 we have in town, and no, don't have it. No, haven't seen the shipment. No, no, no. So, all dead on this side. And maybe that has to do with what's going on with American sales. If it's not there, if it's not available to be picked up, as a lost leader, oh, Pink Floyd's coming. Oh, yeah, I want that one, right? It's not there. People have to make an effort to get this album. I think that's that. But if you are on a streaming service, I would imagine Spotify's got it, if Apple's got it, right? And but Apple definitely has it, and you get a bonus track on top of that. So for those of you who aren't interested in physical media anymore, this is win-win because you already got your music streaming service, and then all you have to do is pop in another $15, and you've got the movie as well. And man, have a Pink Floyd kind of night. Celebrate, have friends and family over, and watch it on your big screen. I know that's what I'm going to do, right? So, what do you guys think of the album in general? I think Lenny Kaye wrote some really intriguing, interesting comments on the back of the Yardbirds live at Anderson Theater from 1968. I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar. Andy Kaye. Okay, I'll check into it. I'll check into it. David's responding to Tiger, said Tiger Rogers, I especially like the vids he does with Martin Popoff. They have such great chemistry. Let me see if I can find where Tiger. Pete Pardo is fantastic. He's one of the few that feature Uriah Heep regularly. Now, Pete Pardo, is he a YouTube content creator? I know I don't, I haven't. Yeah, I got to get to, yeah, they'd be my fourth favorite heavy band from that time period. There'd be Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, and Uriah Heep. Those are the bands I collected actively that were kind of all grouped into one kind of style. So maybe I should do some more covering. The one video I did do up on them did real well. It got like 152,000 views. So, all right, I get the hint. I get the hint. Is that a hint? You think that was a hint, baby?
I think so.
You think that was a hint?
I think so.
Oh boy. See, these guys always give me homework. Don't you guys know school's out? Fall. But anyway, I wanted to say hi to Caitlin too. I kind of forgot I was going to talk about Caitlin here. I was over on Caitlin's Magical Corner, everybody. You guys got to go over there and subscribe to her. Royce and I and Dawson from Royce's panel, we're all heading out over there or hiding out over there today, having a ball, teasing each other. And and by the way, folks, I can't say which album this is. I want to say which album this is, Royce. He goes, Royce, right now, if he's out there or if he sees us later, don't you, you know. But this Sunday, I believe it's this Sunday, Royce is planning on doing his stream around a very special album by a very special couple of artists. There's your only hint I can give you. Okay? It's actually an album that features a couple of artists. And he got it as a birthday gift. I'm jealous. I want that album. All right. What album is it? Well, you'll have to join us at Royce in the House this Sunday. What is this? This is Friday. I've never streamed on a Friday. We've got 40, and I expected that, everybody's out to dinner on a Friday and everything, but I missed Thursday, folks. I just didn't have it in me to stream yesterday. And like I said, I'm fishing around the week, right? And I believe that my very first stream was on a Saturday. Then I switched that one to Sundays. I've streamed on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I've hit them all at least once.
By the way,
Once,
Storm Cow said, "Is it just me or does Michael's hair look like it's about to catch on fire?"
I don't know.
Okay.
Does it?
Yeah.
How does that look? Flame on, baby. Flame on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I get that. I get that quite often. Donna the Frank, good to see you. Long time commenter on the channel.
Yeah.
Agreed, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, and Uriah Heep are the Fantastic Four. Uriah Heep being very underrated. I thoroughly agree with you there. Lee Kerslake on acoustic guitar. Lee Kerslake's on drums. What was I thinking of? Ken Henderson on keyboards, occasional acoustic guitar, and songwriting. You got David Byron on lead vocals, Mick Box on guitar, and is it Gary Thane? I'm trying to remember. It's been a month or two since I've actually listened to them. I've got to turn my attention back to them. I've been busy, folks. But what an amazing band. Their best album would probably be, you kind of got to give it to Demons and Wizards. But I love The Magician's Birthday, and I like the earlier stuff. I love Salisbury. I like, what was it called? It was a real weird album name over in England, but when it got over here, it was just Uriah Heep. Has a crazy ass name. It's just not coming to me. But I love those albums, as long as the majority of them, that lineup was there, it was like I was there for every album. I loved them. I loved it. They were the band that went to Fairyland, probably more so than Led Zeppelin or Queen. Queen only kind of went in that direction for Queen too. Led Zeppelin was more Hobbitland than anything else. But, Uriah Heep, it was, Demons and Wizards, The Magician's Birthday. Even songs like Sunrise, songs like that were, you just knew that it was a sunrise in an alternative universe. That's all, So, and any universe that has Sweet Lorraine, Let the Party Carry On is A-okay with me. All right. Okay. Well, it looks like we have been going strong for just about 2 hours, folks. I don't know about you. What we have to do when we stream, I have to set up, we have our air conditioning, I have to turn all that stuff off. And today's one of those warmer days. I'll bet you we're heading close to 90 today. Before it was a little more humid than it usually is, as I can tell. Yes, I can sense myself getting gamey. Anyway, I want to thank you all for showing up in the stream tonight. Put your comments if you watch this later on what you think about this album. Is it really a masterpiece like I'm saying it is tonight? If not, why isn't it? And what do you see as the problem with it? Why isn't it hitting number one in America and only hitting number one in England, right? And by the way, we hit 50. We've got 65 thumbs up. If any of you haven't thought of doing that, do so right now. If we can get another, what is that, 35 thumbs up, then that goes to 100. That clicks yet another bump up. It goes to a wider audience and all of that. As always, I absolutely enjoy just hanging out with you guys. That's the whole idea of these streams. It also gives me an opportunity to talk about that. I still present. I still ready myself for these streams. I get the information that I'm not aware of. I try to bring as much of my response and my reaction. In other words, it has to be about something that I care about. And if it is like that, and I'm handling a situation or a subject or a band or an album that I'm not 100% aware of, then whatever I'm not aware of, I usually go and do additional research. I at least want to be up here and have something to offer you folks besides just getting up and go, what's happening, Frank? You know, that type of stream. Those streams bore me. I would rather have something you can watch, and then while I'm off on my madcap adventure of telling you what I think, you can all share at Mildred's zucchini bread recipe. I don't care. You know, oh yeah, I hear of that. Well, have you tried Crest, advanced white toothpaste? You know, and a lot of that kind of comments go in. I love that because that's part of it. It's like a big family, and you got a couple of people. Well, you know, how's Frank's hemorrhoids? Oh, I'm glad you asked, Sally. Right, that kind of thing. It's more of a family setting. There's a main conversation going, but some of us are off and on. I love that whole feel. Kimberly, every damn time we get off this stream,
Yeah.
uh, and I mean this, this is no bullshit. She is amazed. The last time, what did oh, you were telling me, what I'm amazed is so many of them
So is that
actually use your name when they talk to you. Michael, I don't agree with this. And she goes, I mean, that's even extra typing. So they are making
John
that kind of
Foster just
connection.
gave you his
I saw that, just
Oh
jumped
my
out.
goodness.
John,
John, thank you so much.
and here I am at the end of my. I hope you were here the whole time, John. I don't think I got to any of your.
He was
Oh, he
late.
says I'm late, so I had to make up for it. Laugh out loud. Well, rewatch the stream, John, when it's over. Uh, I think it's one of our better streams, or at least it's one of the ones I have truly enjoyed putting together for you, especially once I got started, because I had every problem in the universe getting this stream set up today. And you'll find out, John, that I've already given you a shout out for doing exactly what you just did. I shouted you out because I said, and then John came in at the end and gave us a super thanks. To each and every one of you who can do this, thank you so much. You guys know what this means to this channel, right? I'm looking at it right now. It's still saying we're at 44.7. All right. 40, as soon as I hit 44,600, and this has happened a couple of times along the way. And this is what I mean when the channel has hit kind of difficult times, is that I get to, once I hit 600, I got to 13. Then it would drop down to 603. Then I'd get it up to 14. It dropped down to 608, and then I'd get it up to 18, and then it dropped to 612, and it's been that way the whole time. And when it drops from 18 to 12, it have to get 13, 14. You know what I'm saying? And that's been happening, and I've been tracking it with my YouTube algorithm or the analytics. And I understand where most people, if they're, I just don't watch them anymore. I can understand that, right? But this goes way beyond that. This is taking subscriptions off the back end, and I can tell it because 98% of your subscriptions are come from your last 3 months of content. Most of the time, there are exceptions to that rule, but most of the time. And this has been happening. And you guys, so when that happens, also I've noticed a decrease in views, and that's because I'm not getting what we normally do, And you guys are the ones that have come to the rescue every single time. And to tell you the truth, I would prefer um, keeping the audience that I know will be there for at least a good portion of my content anyway. You don't have to be there for every little thing, but it's nice to know that I have a core people, and there's a core people of about 5 to 10,000 of you that make an effort to actually yeah, let's check in on Michael every once in a while. And I certainly appreciate you. And if you're not able to, help the channel out financially, totally understand that. I've said this many times.
Just coming
Yeah, just
is
viewing.
the channel.
You're going to make me money. I'm monetized, right? Just viewing goes into the views. That sends it to a larger audience. More people will occasionally watch a commercial here or there. I get my little cut from the commercial. So you are even financially supporting the channel just by watching it, right? And that's true whether any content creator wants to be honest enough to tell you. It is true for all content creators, right? Well, it is the viewers. If there were no viewers, why would I do this? And then those of you who go extra distance by giving me a thumbs up, right? That encourages things because that encourages the algorithm to send the stream out further. And that could make more money for the channel. And you didn't even have to pay a dime. And of course, for those of you who go, yeah, I've got something I can share with you, Michael. I guarantee you, I put it all back into the channel. Everything is done. I have to maintain equipment, buy new equipment, and everything else. And you guys help a whole lot in that. All right. I love each and every one of you. We've talked about, oh, he loves us now, right? It is that kind of generalized love, that idea that I have for this tribe. I love every one of you in that we can agree to disagree within a small area that we all love, and that is classic rock. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed the stream. If any of it made any sense, please give me a thumbs up if you're watching this and didn't make the stream live. That's fine. Give me a thumbs up there, and who knows? We right now I see we're at 66 thumbs up. We can get it up to 100 within an hour or two if you guys help. All right, I'm Michael Noland. This is the bottom line. And when I stream, it is the Tribal Forum. I want to thank each and every one of my channel members, by the way, too. All right. It is my firm intention, especially been buying 10 free members. A lot of you just joined. Well, it's free. I'll give them a try. I want to keep you. And so a lot of big changes and activity happening on the members side of the channel. It does not affect what I offer here on the channel. I'm still doing exactly what I've always done. This is just another avenue for those who support me. I add more content toward their, for in a way to thank them for doing so. All right. So tonight's Friday. Take tomorrow off. I'm going to be streaming Sunday, so day after tomorrow, and then we're going to be talking on Royce. I think you're going to love it, and we'll see you guys on Sunday. I stream at 5, right? And I usually go to about 6 to 6:10, 6:15. I think I went one night, and then I have to get off because I go and join Royce on his show that starts at 6:30. Now, when I say 5 p.m., 6:30 p.m., I'm talking Pacific Standard Time. And of course, that's West Coast time, baby. So if you're on the East Coast, well, add 3 hours to that, right? And if you're in Arizona, don't add an hour or add an hour depending on what our time zone slips into. Their status quo. In California, the rest of the world's all wiped out with all this daylight savings time nonsense. All right, folks, I enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in my next video. Night, folks.